Hi, thank you. Water wasteful to water mindful. My name is Chisomo. I have been interested in water sensitive design since I went to my home village. Um, Whilst there, I noticed that the people that were working in that area did not waste a drop of water. And I thought about that. And I wondered why I was so wasteful with water. And that sent me on a journey. That led me to the University of Cape Town. I met my supervisor, Dr. Tom Sanya, and there I decided to embark on a journey with the Livable Neighborhoods Research Project to develop a implementation system for water-sensitive design. Water-sensitive design is not new. It has existed for a long period of time. There's a lot of research in it. However, its implementation is a problem here in South Africa. Right. I'm a part of a transdisciplinary team. What that means is that we have skills that cover right across the field. We have people in health, we have people in anthropology, sociology, people in civil engineering, and myself, an architect. We also have entrepreneurs, people who are doing businesses, people who are interested in just finding new things out. And we're actually quite open to talking to students. We had a group of students that came over and they were involved in the implementation system at the beginning. We just talk to everybody and we try and get as much involvement as possible. Right, so then what is a livable neighborhood and what is livability? Right. The long answer is involved and took maybe about 5 or 6 documents to provide. But what we've come to is this understanding that livability is what you decide it is, right? And for us, livability means resilience, sustainability, and water sensitivity. Now, why is water important and why does that affect us all? Right, we know that we are a water-obsessed society, fully dependent on water. It gives us life, it defines our well-being. There is not one culture that does not think of water as restorative. There is not one religion that doesn't think of water as restorative. Water is endlessly abundant and it is all around us. However, drinkable water is not. We were in a crisis recently here in Cape Town, and having a history here, having grown up here and then traveling the world and then coming back here, I noticed this is the beginning of everybody's future. It's not just Cape Town that's going to be experiencing it. So the Livable Neighborhoods Research Project has decided to embark on a process of research to find out how we can start building better, because building is at the heart of our problems. That's in tandem with the Future Water Institute, of which we are a part, and with the Water Research Commission of South Africa, we have begun to define an aim. Right. The Livable Neighborhoods Research Project aims to provide for discussion with the community and find out what they think. Right. Also to tell and inform the government on what water-sensitive urban design is and how it can be used, what its potential is. We're also in it to try and align ourselves with the international water principles that currently exist. We're trying to progress the framework of implementation because they are existing ones. And we're trying to develop insights into water-sensitive urban design, and not just here in South Africa, but across Africa. So, the reason and the theory behind this is quite intense. However, I try to reduce it to a level that I think all of us can appreciate and enjoy. Right, healthy water means a healthy ecosystem. We know this. If the water is clean, everything around us is clean. Everything is going to be enduring. However, as human beings, we've introduced industry, we've introduced agriculture, we've introduced homes, and all of these are sources of waste, right? Every single one of those is developing waste and continually depositing them into the water system. As we deposit into the water system gets worse, the ecosystem gets worse, and as a result, we have a damaged ecosystem, we have a damaged ecology, animals die, we start to starve. So these kind of things have to be addressed. To have a water-sensitive city, we have to start talking about how we can blue our buildings, how we can start developing homes that are regenerative, how we can start doing industries that are not water wasteful, how we can start using our agriculture, as we've already had examples, that does not waste the water that is so precious to us. Because currently, we are wasteful because we don't have value for water. If we want a water-sensitive city, if we want a water-sensitive urban environment, we need to start talking about a cyclical restorative process. And I'll go into that a bit later. So, what is at the heart of sustainability, right? Sustainability has three pillars. You have to be socially equitable, you have to be ecologically balanced, and you have to be economically viable, right? We always focus on the ecology. You must make sure that you're green. You must make sure that you've got a green roof on the top of your building. You must make sure that you have a limited amount of water use. But that's at the beginning of the program. We have to go far deeper into that. So, what do these things mean, right? Social equity, I'm sure you have this understanding. There are those who have and those who have not, right? Those who have can be engaged, they can be included, they can be healthy, secure, integrated, and invested. At the heart of it, they can be sustainable far quicker than anybody else. Those who have not, however, are disengaged and separated. They're unhealthy because of the environment that they're in. They're unsecure because there is a constant struggle for resources, and they're marginalized. We try and keep them to the corners where the opportunities are low and they're disadvantaged. What we need to consider is that sustainability addresses this exact issue. And that's what I'm here to try and do. We also have this idea of a balanced ecology. We're always talking about, man can fix the environment. Reliance on technology and environmental management can help us to move towards a sustainable future. However, that's more of the same. We have to start thinking that man is part of the environment. We are not creatures that take, we are creatures that are in the environment. And we have to have a veneration for life of all sorts, at all levels. If we are compassionate towards the fish, if we're compassionate towards the birds, we can start developing a sustainable system that is restorative to all of us. We have to have complete symbiosis. All right. So the old paradigm is that when we build a city, myself included, I am building for profit. I want money. I am building for cars. I like cars. I'm building for urban sprawl because the best places are usually far away from where everybody is. That's the best place for me to go and stay and build my big house. And when I am done with all of that, I have a centralized system where all my waste goes to and where all my resources are coming from. And I'm relying on this centralized system, which when it breaks down, which it does, as it did in Cape Town, I am left high and dry. That's the old economy, right? The new economy is trying to talk about something, but it's a basic understanding that growth without control is unsustainable. We will run out of land, you will run out of potable, drinkable water, and eventually that leads to anxiety, depression, and just an unsettled society. So we have to have a new paradigm, and this is what I'm proposing here. A new paradigm that talks about people, profit, and planet as one integrated item, right? We have to build for people in terms of our social community. We have to start saying that, okay, yeah, well, here I am as a person talking to you, and I have things that I need. I have to recognize that you have things that you need as well. I can't start expecting you to start building things that are going to be sustainable if I don't talk to what you're dealing with right now, how you got to school, how you had your bread in the morning. All those kind of things are important. Water sensitivity, that's central to it. I've already talked to you about how the health is important, water's health is important. And then we also have to start talking about renewable systems. I'm sure you've all had a chance to talk about that. You've had that chance to talk about it in schools because that's a topical issue. We need to stop using energy that we waste. We need to start using energy that's in abundance and is easy to reuse and reuse and reuse again. We have to densify our buildings in our cities. We have to make sure that everything that we've created up until this point is now integrated, mixed. I shouldn't be miles and miles away from my school. My school should be right next to. All right. So when we start moving in that direction, we start to get a sustainable future. And all these other ideas start to make sense. So our approach, the Livable Neighborhoods approach, in how to create livability, is to look at the world. What is the world doing? Look at what the theory is doing. Who are the smart people that are talking about this? And then looking at what is actually existing. So I'm going to go through that right now. Right. If we place the study, there is a whole bunch of stuff that has happened in the past, right? And as young as I am, and as young as you are, we haven't been involved in that whole process, but it has started way back. And only now is it starting to become a loud movement. And we need to start thinking about how all that history has led us and informed us to where we are right now. We need to start trying to consider that a livable neighborhood is at the heart of all those things, right? Okay. Now, this is a much more complex and difficult thing for me to explain. But what I want you to take away from this is three simple things, right? Communities must be holistic. They have to speak to your social need, your environmental needs, and your economical need. You can't expect somebody to do something if they can't afford it. We need to drop any drop in one area. For example, if you did not have a good environment, you would not have a good economy. If you did not have your basic needs, you cannot take advantage of an environmentally balanced condition. All right? And true resilience relies on diversity. We can't have one system of energy. You cannot have a nuclear power plant that provides all our energy because that nuclear power plant is fallible. Everything that we make can fail. And if we kind of start designing with the understanding that everybody needs nucleated systems, we can all benefit from that future. All right. Now, how are these things being done across the world? How are people actually implementing these principles? Well, there's two major movements, right? So first of all, let's just talk about what our country is doing. We have started to talk about regulating our developments. Instead of building outwards, we've started to build inwards. We started to go up, which is one step, right? The second step is to try and create and focus for health. Livable cities improve health through providing more active recreation, providing more exposure to green spaces, reduced temperatures because of the heat island effect, and lower air pollution, right? So when we start building sustainably, we start to improve our healthy condition. Everybody else has tried to start using architecture to shape sustainable awareness, right? So this is one building that I think we can all learn from, right? This is the Beddington Zero Energy Development by Bioregional. It uses the One Planet Living framework. What that is essentially a building that does not draw any energy from the grid and doesn't draw any excess waste. It doesn't contribute excess waste. It deals with it on site, right? So if you consider that a diversified and densified location is where you need to focus if you want to develop moving forward, you need to be able to work, learn, and live in one place, right? This reduces your need to travel. Your carbon footprint is the most damaging thing you're doing to the environment. It's something that we can't avoid in South Africa because we have to drive to get to where we need to go, right? But if we reduce the amount of driving required, maybe even densify, so it's a group of people that go in a bus and they're happy to travel to the city and then come back once or twice a week, we start to reduce our carbon footprint, we start to help the environment. Small things like that can change the future. Then we have to start talking about passive systems. I'm sure you're all familiar with photovoltaic cells, drawing energy from the sun. Plants do it, we can do it too. We start talking about buildings that vent through passive systems. The wind passing by will reduce the temperature in the building, regulate it, make it easier for us to live. We also start talking about how you can use biofuels. Your waste itself can be burnt and create energy for you. All those things can be implemented, and when they're implemented together, holistically, you pay less. So it's an economically viable thing, right? There have been new proposals where you can have a building that's a satellite on its own, then you can have buildings that are communities. You can also have extravagant high-end things that you can have in your malls that are just as efficient, losing no qualities, right? Then we start talking about what's happened here, right? In Durban, there's an eco-school that has been implemented with the bioregional process. This eco-school is focusing on sustainable water use, and it's trying to reduce its water footprint by using a eco-toilet. Now, this is a problem. A lot of us have heard about long drop toilets, we don't like them. And a lot of us can imagine a waterless toilet system being something just as bad. So we need to start addressing that and start saying, okay, well, if that's not the problem, where do people like you, who can understand this problem and who have experienced this problem, start to innovate? I think people in South Africa are the people who can start changing these systems around because we've had the experience. We have had recent experience with things that don't work, and we can start developing ones that do. Right, and then we also have to start talking about what we can do with buildings. Can we teach with a building? Can this building teach us anything about water? All right. So I would like to introduce you to the International Living Future Institute. It's an organization that exists, and it has proposed something to all of you. It's talking about the Living Building Challenge, a building that speaks to the beauty and inspirational aspects of it, but also talking about how you use your materials, how you can develop a site sustainably, how you can use your energy, how you can use your water, and how you can use your indoor quality to be sustainable, regenerative, healing, right? All those aspects can create a sustainable future, but that's really hard to do. So let's just focus on water, right? The Living Community Challenge speaks about everybody working together to try and develop through 7 steps. Well, there's 4 that are highlighted there, but through 7 steps that we believe can lead to a sustainable future. And this is one of the results. The Hitchcock Center for the Environment is recognized as a net positive water building under the Living Building Challenge. And this is what it does. It teaches children how the system works, right? If you consider a building that, from start to finish, does the following: provides a live and work condition that is in harmony with the natural water flows of the world, right? That is actually 100% inclusive of the community's needs and does not require you to bring in anything or take out anything. It deals with everything on site and then delivers it back to nature. This building is then able to consider itself as a looped system. A building that recycles and uses community water, takes it on, purifies it, and then sends it back to nature. So then the fish are happier. The fish being happier means that the plants are happier. The plants being happier means that we are happier, and we can provide for ourselves as well without toxins introduced into our systems. And also to take all the stormwater that comes in, guide it through a process of cleanliness, and sending it back into our system so that we are able to draw from that and drink water that is clean and has been processed through all the natural steps. As a building, this is doing all those things. So in closing, I just want to highlight something, that the way we build will shape the future, right? And I think someone here might be an architect, maybe more than one might be an architect. And I believe that when you start building your buildings, when you start building buildings at home, you can start changing the way you do it. And that will be enough. If every single one of you starts to build differently, the world will become a sustainable place. Thank you.